our government oversight. We question where we're.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to restart it. 1 second.
$13 trillion in wealth has evaporated over the course of the last 2 years. We've questioned the future of capitalism. We've questioned the financial industry. We've looked at our government oversight. We've questioned where we're going. And yet at the same time, this very well may be a seminal moment in American history, an opportunity for the consumer to actually take control and guide us to a new trajectory in America. I'm calling this the Great Unwind. And the idea is a simple idea, which is the fact that the consumer has moved from a state of anxiety to action. Consumers who represent 72% of the GDP of America have actually started, just like banks and just like businesses, to deleverage, to unwind their leverage in daily life, to remove themselves from the liability and risk that it presents itself as they move forward. So to understand this, and I'm going to stress this, it's not about the consumer being in retreat. The consumer is empowered. In order to understand this, we're going to step back and look a little bit at what's happened over the course of the last year and a half. So if you've been gone, this is the easy cliff notes on what's happened in the economy, okay? Unemployment up, housing values down, equity markets down, commodity prices are like this. If you're a mom trying to manage a budget and oil was $150 a barrel last summer and it's somewhere between 50 and 70, do you plan vacations? How do you buy? What's your strategy in your household? Will the bailout work? We have national debt, Detroit, currency valuations, healthcare, all these issues facing us. You put them all together, you mix them up in a bouillabaisse, and you have consumer confidence. It's basically a ticking time bomb. In fact, let's go back and look at what caused this crisis, because the consumer, all of us in our daily lives, actually contribute a large part to the problem. This is something I call the 50-20 paradox. It took us 50 years to reach annual savings ratings of almost 10%. 50 years. Do you know what this was right here? This is World War II. You know why savings was so high? There was nothing to buy unless you wanted to buy some rivets, right? So what happened though, over the course of the last 20 years, we went from a 10% savings rate to a negative savings rate because we binged. We bought large cars, supersized everything. We bought remedies for restless leg syndrome. All these things together basically created a factor where the consumer sort of drove us headlong into the crisis that we face today. The personal debt to income ratio basically went from 65% to 135% in the span of about 15 years. So consumers got over leveraged. And of course, our banks did as well, as did our federal government. This is an absolutely staggering chart. It shows leverage trended out from 1919 to 2009. And what you end up seeing is the whole phenomenon of the fact that we are actually stepping forth and basically leveraging future education, future children in our households. So if you look at this in the context of visualizing the bailout, what you can see is if you stack up dollar bills, first of all, $360,000 is about the size of a 5'4" guy. But if you stack it up, you just see this amazing, staggering amount of basically dollars that have been put into the system to fund and bail us out. So this is the first 315 billion. But I read this fact the other day that 1 trillion seconds equals 32,000 years. So if you think about that, the context, the casualness with which we talk about $1 trillion bailout here and trillion there, we are stacking ourselves up for long-term leverage. However, consumers have moved. They are taking responsibility. What we're seeing is an uptick in the savings rate. In fact, 11 straight months of savings have happened since the beginning of the crisis. We are working our way back up to that 10%. Also, remarkably, in the fourth quarter, spending dropped to its lowest level in 62 years, almost a 3.7% decline. Visa now reports that more people are using debit cards than they're using credit cards. So we're starting to pay for things with money that we have, and we're starting to be much more careful about how we save and how we invest. But that's not really the whole story, because this has also been a dramatic time of transformation. And you got to admit, over the course of the last year and a half, consumers have been doing some pretty weird things, because it's been pretty staggering that we've lived through. If you take into account 80% of all Americans were born after World War II, this was essentially our depression. And so as a result, some crazy things have happened. I'll give you some examples. Let's talk about dentists, vasectomies, guns, and shark attacks, okay? Dentists report molars, people grinding their teeth, coming in and reporting the fact that they've had stress. And so there's an increase in people having to have their fillings replaced. Gun sales, according to the FBI, who does background checks, are up almost 25% since January. Vasectomies are up 48%, according to the Cornell Institute. And lastly, but a very good point, hopefully not related to the former point I just made, which is that shark attacks are at their lowest level from 2003. Does anybody know why? No one's at the beach, so there's a bright side to everything. But seriously, what we see happening, and the reason I want to stress that the consumer is not in retreat, is that this is a tremendous opportunity for the consumer who drove us into this recession to lead us right back out. And what I mean by that is that we can move from mindless consumption to mindful consumption, right? If you think about the last 3 decades, the consumer has moved from savvy about marketing in the 90s to gathering all these amazing social and search tools in this decade. But the one thing that's been holding them back is the ability to discriminate. By restricting their demand, consumers can actually align their values with their spending and drive capitalism and business to not just be about more, but be about better. And we're going to explain that right now. Based on Y&R's brand asset valuator, proprietary tool of VML and Young and Ruby Kim, we set out to understand what's been happening in the crisis with the consumer marketplace. We found a couple of really interesting things. We're going to go through 4 values shifts that we see driving new consumer behaviors that offer new management principles. The first cultural value shift we see is this tendency towards something we call liquid life. This is the movement from America's defining their success on having things to having liquidity, because the less excess that you have around you, the more nimble and fleet of foot you are. As a result, déclassé consumption is in. Déclassé consumption is the whole idea of spending money frivolously makes you look a little bit anti-fashion. The management principle is dollars and cents. So let's look at some examples of this déclassé consumption that falls out of this value. First thing is we see something must be happening when P. Diddy vows to tone down his bling. But seriously, we also have this phenomenon on Madison Avenue and in other places where people are actually walking out of luxury boutiques with ordinary sort of generic paper bags to hide the brand purchases. We see high-end haggling in fashion today, high-end haggling for luxury and real estate. We also see just a relaxing of ego and sort of a dismantling of artifice. This is a story on the yacht club that's all basically blue collar yacht club, where you can join the yacht club, but you've got to work in the boatyard is sort of condition of membership. We also see the trend toward tourism that's a little bit more low key, right? Agritourism, going to vineyards and going to farms. And then we also see this movement forward from dollars and cents. What businesses can do to connect with these new mindsets are really interesting. A couple things that are kind of cool. One is that Frito-Lay figured out this liquidity thing with their consumer. They found their consumer had more money at the beginning of the month, less at the end of the month. So what they did is they started to change their packaging. Larger packs at the beginning of the month, smaller packaging at the end of the month. Really interestingly too was San Francisco Giants. They've just instituted dynamic pricing. So it takes into account everything from the pitcher matchups to the weather to the team records and setting prices for the consumer. Another quick example of these types of movements are obviously the rise of Zynga. Zynga has risen on the consumer's desire to not want to be locked into fixed costs. Again, this theme is about variable costs, variable living. So micropayments have become huge. And lastly, some people are using Hulu actually as a device to get rid of their cable bill. So really clever ideas there that are kind of being taken a hold and marketers are starting to understand. The second of the 4 values is this movement toward ethics and fair play. We see that play itself out with empathy and respect. The consumer is demanding it. And as a result, businesses must provide not only value, but values. Increasingly, consumers are looking at the culture of the company, looking for their conduct in the marketplace. So what we see with empathy and respect, lots of really hopeful things that have come out of this recession. And I'll give you a few examples. One is the rise toward communities and neighborhoods, an increased emphasis on your neighbors as your support system. Also, a wonderful byproduct of sort of a really lousy thing, which has been unemployment, is a rise in volunteerism that's been noted in our country. We also see the phenomenon, some of you may have Boomerang kids. These are Boomerang alumni, where universities are actually reconnecting with alumni and helping them with job sharing skills and retraining. We also talked about character and professionalism. We had this Miracle on the Hudson in New York City, in January, and suddenly Sully has become a key name on Baby Center. So from a value and values standpoint, what companies can do is connect in lots of different ways. Microsoft is doing something wonderful. They're actually vowing to retrain 2 million Americans with IT training, using their existing infrastructure to do something good. Also, a really interesting company is Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex is all about personal accountability of their management and their employees, to the point where they really kind of shun the idea of bosses, but they also talk about the fact that their executives, all of their expense reports are put onto their company intranet for everyone to see. Complete transparency. Think twice before you have that bottle of wine. The third of the 4 laws of post-crisis consumerism is about durable living. We're seeing in our data that consumers are realizing this is a marathon, not a sprint. They're digging in and they're looking for ways to extract value out of every purchase that they make. Witness to the fact that Americans are holding onto their cars longer than ever before. 9.4 years on average in March, a record. We also see the fact that libraries have become a huge resource for America. Did you know that 68% of Americans now carry a library card, the highest percentage ever in our nation's history? So what you see in this trend is also the accumulation of knowledge. Continuing education is up. Everything is focused on betterment and training and development and moving forward. We also see a big DIY movement. I was fascinated to learn that 30% of all homes in America are actually built by owners. That includes cottages and the like, but 30%. So people are getting their hands dirty. They're rolling up their sleeves. They want these skills. We see that with the phenomenon of raising backyard hens and chickens and ducks. And when you work out the math, they say it doesn't work, but the principle is there that it's about being sustainable and taking care of yourself. And then we look at the High Line in New York City, an excellent use of reimagining existing infrastructure for something good, which is a brand new park in New York City. So what brands can do and companies is pay dividends to consumers, be a brand that lasts, offer transparency, promise you're going to be there beyond today's sale. Perfect example of that is Patagonia. Patagonia's Footprint Chronicles basically goes through and tracks every product that they make and gives you social responsibility and helps you understand the ethics that are behind the product that they make. Another great example is Fidelity. Rather than instant cashback rewards on your credit or debit purchases, this is about 529 rewards for your student education. Or the interesting company Sunrun. I love this company. They've created a consumer collective where they put solar panels on households and create a consumer-based utility where the electricity that they generate is basically pumped back out into the marketplace. So a consumer-driven co-op. So the fourth sort of post-crisis consumerism that we see is this movement about return to the fold. It's incredibly important right now. Trust is not parceled out, as we all know. It's now about connecting to your communities, connecting to your social networks. In my book, I talked about the fact that 72% of people trust what other people say about a brand or a company versus 15% on advertising. So in that respect, cooperative consumerism is really taken off. This is about consumers working together to get what they want out of the marketplace. Let's look at a couple of quick examples. The artisanal movement is huge. Everything about locally derived products and services supporting your local neighborhoods, whether it's cheeses, wines, and other products. Also, this rise of local currencies, realizing that it's difficult to get loans in this environment, you're doing business with people you trust in your local markets. So this rise of this sort of local currency is another really interesting phenomenon. And then they did a recent report I thought was fascinating. They actually started in certain communities in the United States, start to publish people's electricity usage. And what they found out is when that was available for public record, the people's electricity usage in those communities dropped. Then we also look at the idea of cow pooling, which is the whole phenomenon of consumers organizing together to buy meat from organic farms that they know is safe and controlled in the way that they want it to be controlled. And then there's this other really interesting movement that's happened in California, which is about carrot mobs. The traditional thing would be to boycott, right? Have a stick? Well, why not have a carrot? So these are consumers organizing, pooling their resources to incentivize companies to do good. And then we look at what companies can do then. This is all the opportunity about being a community organizer. You have to realize that you can't fight and control this. You actually need to organize it. You need to harness it. You need to give it meaning. And there's lots of really interesting examples here that we see. First is just the rise of the fact that Zagat's has actually moved out of and diversified from rating restaurants into actually rating healthcare. So what credentials does Zagat's have? Well, they have a lot because it's their network of people, right? And so that becomes a very powerful force for them to make their brand more elastic. Then you look at the phenomenon of Koji. This Koji doesn't exist. It's a moving truck, right? It's a moving truck through LA, and the only way you can find it is through Twitter. Or you look at Johnson & Johnson's Momversations. right? A phenomenal blog that's been built up where J&J basically is tapping into the power of mommy bloggers, allowing them to basically create a forum where they can communicate and they can connect. And it's also become a very, very valuable sort of advertising revenue for J&J as well. This plus the fact that you've got phenomenal work from CEOs from Ford to Zappos, connecting on Twitter, creating an open environment, allowing their employees to be part of the process rather than hidden behind walls. You see this rising force in sort of total transparency and openness that companies are starting to adopt, all because the consumer is demanding it. So when we look at this and we step back, what I believe is that the crisis that exists today is definitely real. It's been tremendously powerful for consumers, but at the same time, this is also a tremendous opportunity. And the Chinese character for crisis is actually the same side of the same coin. Crisis equals opportunity. What we're seeing with consumers right now is the ability for them to actually lead us forward out of this recession. So we believe that values-driven spending will force capitalism to be better. It will drive innovation. It will make longer lasting products. It will create better, more intuitive customer service. It will give us the opportunity to connect with companies that share the values that we share. So when we look back and step out at this and see the beginning of these trends that we're seeing in our data, we see a very hopeful picture for the future of America. Thank you very much.
Has everyone finished watching? Were there some people who were watching on their own systems?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to start with the first word. The first word that I have here is seminal. Does anyone know what it means?
Half. Semi means half.
No.
Influence.
Influence in which way, Mahesh?
Means if suppose there is some consumer trend incremental influencing like this.
Something very important. That's what seminal means.
Okay.
For example, this is a seminal moment for the world. It means it's a very important moment for the world. Instead of using the word very important, which I keep telling people, instead of very important, you can say vital, crucial. Similarly, you can also use the word seminal and not use very important. Any question? Anyone with the word seminal?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. The next word is bouillabaisse. What does it mean? Anyone?
It's a the ancient people who are rich.
Okay. Okay, it's a word which is used as a metaphor. Boiling in ancient times is also known as bouillabaisse. So used as a metaphor to anger somebody. It's used,
Anger somebody. Okay.
yeah, like, comes from the root is to boil. So to anger somebody, knowingly is bouillabaisse.
Can you tell us a sentence while using this?
Yes, I will. Once I complete all the words, Jigyasa, I'll write it in the chat box. The next word is headlong.
Very tall.
Very tall, no. Upfront, not exactly, no.
Moving ahead in some direction.
Okay, so as an adjective, it has nothing to do with the height of something or somebody. It has to do with the fact that how careful or careless you are. So somebody who's extremely careless, you can say that he's a headlong person. Somebody who's callous and reckless is also headlong. The next word that I have here is uptake.
Action of taking up like this.
Okay. Something else. Anyone else? for the word uptake? Try to also understand the word uptake with the sense that you're taking something from a few options which are given. It's not that you're taking anything, you're uptaking a particular thing from what is available. Nimble feet or nimble foot. I don't know why it's feet 2 times, but yeah, nimble feet. You can also use it as an adjective by saying nimble footed. The adjective is only footed, but not feet. It's nimble footed with a hyphen in the middle. Yes, thank you, Deepak. Somebody who's very agile, very fast, very quick in what he or she does is also known as nimble feet as a noun, nimble footed as an adjective. The next one is fleet of foot.
Ma'am, can you repeat please nimble feet again?
Somebody who's very agile, very quick, very fast in doing what he or she does is nimble-footed person. Did you understand now?
Yes.
Thank you. Next word that I have here is fleet of foot.
Able to run fast, fast running.
Yes, that's how it comes. Fleet as a noun, collective noun, is many, used inherently with ships, fleet of ship. So fleet of foot, it means a lot of pairs of feet. That's what it means. I think
Ma'am, it is related to barefoot or any type of able to run fast. And as a barefoot or
no,
anything?
it doesn't matter. Like, for example, I mean, put the name of an XYZ runner who's really fast, say that he has a fleet of foot, means he runs really fast. He has many feet, that's what it means. The next word, I think somebody asked me also.
Is it fleet or foot, or is it a same same word? Is it just fleet or?
No, I don't understand, Akansha. Come again.
Okay, never mind.
No, I mean, your question is with foot. Is it feet? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just saying, is it just fleet, or is that whole the whole line a word?
It's a phrase. It's
A phrase, yeah, that was the word. Phrase. Is that? Oh, it's okay. It's a
Yeah, you have to use the whole thing. You can't use a part of it. Yeah. Next word is déclassé. I think somebody also asked me what it means. Another thing is when you write it, there's an accent. So yeah.
Inferior.
Sorry. It's not inferior. No, it's not inferior. Yeah, inferior means of low quality, but déclassé is the movement of falling.
Ma'am, it was related to that consumer values in the video, consumer value or consumer strategy like this, and equal to that déclassé, and he mentioned like this. So how it can be correlated with that consumer value is equivalent to déclassé?
I'll explain it. So because you said
Consumer durability declasses, ma'am.
Yeah.
The durability of product declasses.
Yes. Somehow, yes, a little bit. Vipul is right. When go ahead, Deepak, go ahead. Yes, it's the process of that. That was what the difference is. I think somebody said inferior. It is not inferior inherently, but in that process of declining. Yes.
Ma'am, can't we say degrade?
You can say degrade also. It's just another word, Jigyasa. I mean, like degrade is there. There's
Degrade in society or
there's diminishing. There are so many words. This is just one of the other words. Is it clear to everyone what déclassé means?
Ma'am, can you explain once, because I am a little bit confused about consumer value is equal to déclassé.
Wait.
So can you correlate with this?
Consumer value is declining. It is not. It hasn't declined already. It is in the process of declining. It
Okay.
will become bad. It will be inferior. It's not yet inferior.
Okay. Understood.
Going on to the next word, which is haggling. Anyone?
Yeah, ma'am. It is used in this as a bargain in the consumer relation.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Cutthroat competition, fighting for something.
Yes.
It also means to negotiate over
अभी
a
बोल दे रही हूँ
price of something.
Yes.
Ma'am, bargaining.
अभी तो दूसरा
Yes. To negotiate, to bargain, to also get into an argument or a tiny dispute. All of these words can be haggling. That's what it's called. Negotiating is a much more formal word. Haggling you can also use for informal. For example, if there's something which is happening on the road, so you can say there were people haggling. So it's an informal word also. Sorry. The next word is artifice. Anyone? The meaning of the word artifice?
Unreal,
Unreal.
not real.
Okay. Anyone else? The meaning of the word artifice?
Is it related to artificial? No.
It's related to intelligence. That's when somebody is really intelligent or clever or has a skill which is very artful. Again, you need to keep in mind it is an artful skill because of the word artifice in it. So pertaining to art, any special skill or good skill is artifice. Next word that I have here is agri-tourism. I think it's
Ma'am, can we connect it artificial intelligence? That is.
yes, it's come. Yeah, it goes to that. You're right.
Yes. Okay.
From artifice is where artificial intelligence has come in a way linguistically. Agri-tourism.
artificial is something else, no?
Ma'am,
Artificial.
related to agriculture, ma'am, agricultural development.
Okay, thank you. I will come back to this. Jigyasa, what was your question?
Ma'am, artificial intelligence means something which is not real. That is called artificial, right?
We're not focusing on the word artificial. See, in artificial, it is not real, but this artifice, the art is for a skill.
Okay.
So we're not, so it's about the intelligence aspect of it, not the artificial aspect of it. Now you understand?
Art plus skill.
Okay.
Agri-tourism. Anyone else apart from somebody who gave me the answer? Excuse me.
Going to rural areas.
Ma'am, local
Yes, sir.
people के साथ when
I
the
don't
person-
understand Hindi that much. And plus, even if I did, I would never communicate in English class with that. So you'll have to translate everything.
Ma'am, when in the last of the video, he used that whenever the traveler visited somewhere, they used to spend some time with local guys.
Okay. For what? What is the purpose?
To increase the tourism in that areas.
Thank you, Mahesh. Anyone else? Meaning of the word agri-tourism?
Tourists going to rural areas.
Yes. So try to understand the word that it is trying to increase tourism in agricultural area. So in all rural areas, especially whenever, there are, I think like somebody else also mentioned, if there are tourists who are going, interacting, staying with the native community, it's known as agri-tourism. The next word is variable.
Changed.
Yes, a parameter that can change with time, over time. It's not going to be constant. Was somebody trying to say something? Your voice is breaking.
Adjustable
Change.
Yes, something which can be changed.
or ma'am, alterable.
Yes, yes. The next word is a hold. And
It's
it's
variable. I would like to understand more variable. Variable means generally we use in this. It can be increased proportionately.
it's not necessary that it will only increase, Mahesh.
Means it is not a fixed. If there
Yeah,
is
exactly.
some.
It is something which is going to change. It is something that does not have any fixed pattern.
Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, take hold.
Yes, a hold is to take hold of something. Also, it's used as an imperative when you say, for example, do this or finish this. So a hold informally, when you just say a hold, it kind of means like, hold this. So informally, it's used like that. Next word is lousy.
Bad.
It means awful. Like you're a lousy human being.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Bad.
Yeah.
Ma'am, lousy means lazy.
Okay. No, it has nothing to do with lazy. It's
Ma'am,
actually,
cheap.
Awful.
yeah, it's somebody who's very bad.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Lousy criminal, somebody has say like this, so I thought it's lazy.
No, it's bad. Lousy criminal is a bad person. Yeah, you can also use it. I mean, the reason I was not telling all of you poor is because it's not the right way. I mean, to judge people by that. So yes, keep it for bad. Don't call somebody poor lousy.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so keep it for somebody who's bad, not for poor. Next is standpoint.
Point of view.
We don't have synonym for this, but I know its meaning.
Mhm.
The way you perceive something, the way you see something.
Yes.
Point of view.
Mhm. So, for example, a lot of you keep saying, in my opinion, when you all telling me things. So you can say that from my standpoint, from my point of view, vantage point is another phrase. My opinion, my perspective, frame of mind, my view, all of these are synonyms.
That preconceived notion. In my mind, that is the thing.
No, Deepak, there's a difference between a preconceived notion, but a preconceived notion is when you don't know about something and you make up your mind
You are
about
carrying,
it.
yeah, okay, you are carrying something.
It's like a prejudice,
Right.
that, for example, I don't know somebody and I'm still saying he or she is like that. That's a preconceived notion. But a standpoint is your opinion about something.
Very
Okay?
clear in mind.
Yes. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is and the like. How do you use the phrase and the like?
Similar to someone.
Yes. Anyone else? For example, I say, please bring files, pens, and the like. What would and the like mean there?
Etc. Like this.
Stationary.
Yes, that's how it works. Etc. means similar things pertaining to what is stated before. I mean, don't give me a chocolate with that, but a pen, yes. So similar aspects of what has been stated before. It cannot be opposing aspects. Next is derive.
Origin.
Movement.
To take out.
To take out. Before this, somebody said, did you say a moment?
Origin.
No,
Moment.
yes, because I understood origin.
Ma'am, movement.
Movement.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand?
Okay. No, I don't understand how you're using it as movement. It's not drive, it's derive. But yes, derive means to obtain something from something. For example, I have derived this conclusion after reading.
Like we use in the mathematics that we derived the particular equation. Means to solve the equation to get the result or answer that
Yes, I
we
was
use the derived.
And ma'am, you also sometimes use this word derived from Latin English or this English. You used to say, no?
Yes, yes, I also use this word. So it means derive a meaning out of it is to obtain a meaning out of something. That's what it means. Next word is incentify.
Incentive means to give something benefit like subsidy or reward or incentive.
Yes, if you say incentivize him means give him some benefits or like this monetary benefits or any.
Some reward or some incentive so that that person is, wants to do what you're asking him to do. That's incentify. And the last word is intuitive.
Means having intuition about future. Mm, I'm having intuition on upcoming events.
Mhm.
Intuition.
Okay.
Related to mind.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, understanding ability.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. See, there's one very important aspect that I think I should mention here is that it is about what you feel. However, that feeling, it does not have any reasoning. So keep that in mind. I mean, a logical argument is not intuition, but your intuition does not have any logic or coherence. There's a difference between these two things. I hope it's clear, everyone.
Can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
say it's a gut feeling?
Yes, you can say it's a gut feeling. But again, like I said, your gut feeling also is not based on a logic, right?
Yeah,
It's just something you feel. It
just
could
what
be translated as a whims and fancy without any base.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone, I want all of you to start. Akansha, I'm sorry, I just saw your question in the chat box. Uptake means intake. See, the only difference, an intake may or may not be from options, but an uptake is from options.
I got it.
Okay.
Ma'am, in this video, in terms of management principle, there is management principle is equal to value and values. So, as per my understanding, value can be measured or countable, but values are different. Values are like honesty, integrity, ethics. Am I correct?
You'll have to, I didn't understand your question, Mahesh. You'll have to ask me again.
Ma'am, in the video on the one slide, he mentioned that management principle is equal to value and values.
Value and values, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as per my understanding, value can be counted, but values are like honesty, ethics, or integrity. It cannot be measured in the numbers. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. So when he said
Yes.
that, I don't remember the exact sentence, but yeah, value and values is things which go beyond just physical monetary value also, right?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Everyone else, please start giving me your sentences in the chat box, please.
Yes, hello. This for headlong. I think you said, correct me if I'm mistaken, I think you said it means callous, then I heard reckless as well.
Yes, reckless and callous. Yes, that's what I said.
I thought callous means somebody who's very like insensitive about stuff, But reckless means,
Callous is also somebody careless.
oh,
It's not only about, see, if you're insensitive towards others, you're also careless, right? So callous and careless are actually synonyms. The headlong is another one.
Wait, are you saying careless or callous?
Callous.
Okay.
C-A. I'm sorry if it's because of my throat, but what I'm saying is C-A-L-L-O-U-S, callous.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, I forgot meaning for boily base.
I am
Boil.
actually just writing a sentence in the chat box for Jigyasa because she had asked me. Just give me a minute. I'm completing that sentence. And I mean, it'll help you understand the meaning. East India Company. For everyone who didn't understand the meaning, I've made a sentence with Bouillabaisse and sent it in the chat box.
Excuse me, Hina. You're DMing me directly.
No. It was by mistake. I'm really sorry. It was by mistake.
Got it. Ma'am,
Yes, Jigyasa.
how do you pronounce this? What? Can you?
Double L is pronounced as year because this word directly comes from French language. In Latin, double L is year. So it's
Bouillabaisse?
bouillabaisse.
Bouillabaisse. Okay.
Excuse me. Jigyasa, don't use early as a synonym for previous. There's a difference. So my previous manager, the manager before, the manager prior to this manager, earlier, no. Earlier is, for example, can you meet me a little earlier? If we were supposed to meet at 5 and I'm saying, can you meet me a little earlier? That means a little while before the time set. Okay. Mahesh, Koreans are fleet of foot and have one. HAVEWON, have won the most of marathons. No, most of the marathons. Okay. Shipra, even self-help could not change a lousy person. Mahesh, declasse is just an adjective. It's not a verb. You can't make it declassing. Okay, it's not a verb. So glorious that Hina, can you give me context of your sentence, please?
And headlong. Sentence for headlong.
What? Which sentence?
Or any sentence for headlong.
You want me to make a sentence? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There are a couple, I think Hina, Jigyasa, they both made sentences with headlong. See in the chat box. Coming back to, yeah, Hina, he was so notorious that he nimble feet to feet. Give me context.
Ma'am, context means in what sense? I didn't get. I just directly make the sentence.
Okay, no, when I say give me context, it means like, what was your perspective? What did you think of while making the sentence? Like, what does it mean?
He was so notorious that he's always roaming here and there like this.
Mm-hmm. See, but nimble-footed is something which is considered to be a quality, that you are good at something and you're fast on your feet. Like, for example, if I say Hina is a nimble-footed person, that means that you're able to do your work very fast. You're agile. You're not lazy. You
Okay.
understand?
Okay. Ma'am, I don't know meaning for the declasse.
Declasse is the process of degrading or downgrading something. Did you understand now, Hina?
Yes, ma'am.
Apparently, see, if giving or explaining the root is going to help everyone understand, the word comes again from French, and it is in French known as déclassé. Literal meaning, the suffix of the word is classe, which is your social class. Back in the day, there were proletarians, bourgeoisies, and the noble class. So falling in social class, if you're very rich and suddenly you become poor, so you're falling in social class, that is déclassé. So that's how the word originates. If it helps everyone understand it better, that is. In order to get the task completed, the team leader announced that he would incentivize the winner. Deepak, that's the only, yeah. She seemed to be headlong about the seminar presentation. This. Shanti, in your sentence, if you change the counselor was headlong with the unnecessary arguments, it's correct that, he was careless. But you can't say he went, like he didn't not care, like in the sense that you don't go not caring. Are you understanding? Went is going to be incorrect there.
You want to say, I should say?
You can use a form of to be, like, for, see, understand, it's like a normal adjective. If you will say that she is tall, you will use is, right, as an adjective, I mean as a verb to join an adjective to a subject. Similarly, use a form of to be, is, am, are, if it is past, was, were. So use that. Okay.
Okay, they corrected the way, the counselor.
Was, I mean,
What?
it was,
Okay, okay.
if it
Yeah,
is
went
past.
is wrong. That's fine. Thank you.
Excuse me. Akansha, fleet of foot is an adjective. It's not a verb. I think that's how you've used it, right? Like he ran away from the prison.
Give me a second. Oh, yeah, this one, the criminal.
Yeah. So it's not a verb. You can't run away with. You have fleet of foot because you're a fast runner, but you can't run with that phrase.
Okay, so the criminal has.
Yeah, it seems like the criminal had a fleet of foot as he escaped very quickly from the prison.
Okay.
Shipra, a company, excuse me, a company should incentivize their employees. There won't be one employee in the company, right?
Their employee.
Um,
Ma'am, what's the mistake? Company.
You've written employee in singular. There won't be one employee, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge's number voted. Mahesh, see, after passing the order, he held the building. First of all, you don't hold off something, you hold something, right?
Okay.
And plus, after, like, so you want to say that after something happened, he did something, right? So it will change to after passing the order, he held the building, means he took control of the building. But again, in the past. Jigyasa, as per my standpoint, the S will not be uppercase. That's number one. We should use made in India products or products made in India across the country. And to void, what do you mean by to void? You know, like, do you want to say to avoid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But ma'am, if I'm starting my sentence, so then why can't I use uppercase of it?
Because standpoint is not the first alphabet, right? Of the
Achha,
sentence.
yeah, understood. Yeah. I thought that you were telling for as.
No, the S, and to avoid imported products, to encourage local vendors and again, local vendors and businessmen, not one vendor in the country, not one businessman in the country, right? Direct from something. Akansha, do you have a question where you've put a question mark?
Is it the Coke Pepsi one?
Yeah. I mean, that's where I see the question mark.
Yeah, this one, is it correct?
Yeah, like similar things, yeah.
Oh, okay. No question.
Interrupted and expressed. Prerna, being a nimble-footed person is one of the personality traits. I remember this. I think I've told everyone previously. Whenever you're using one of, it's always one of the many. You can't say, see, because when you say one of personality trait, you're anyway saying one. So one out of the many that you're saying it's important, right? So one of the personality traits which is seminal in this competitive, COMPETETIVE. So, Jigyasa, I think you used a hold as two different words. A hold, like you took a hold of your career, or what do you want to say? Took a hold from my career for some time. Pause, right? Yeah, so that's not a hold. A hold together means hold it or take something. This, what you're saying, a hold, like I took a hold of my life, of my career, that is a space hold.
Yes.
And you take a hold of something. You don't take a hold from something.
So then what should I write down?
Okay, if your perspective is that you took control of your career, if that's, I think that was your perspective when you wrote the sentence, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I took a hold, a space hold, a space HOLD, not together.
Okay.
I took a hold of my career. It means that you took control over it. It does not mean pause.
Okay.
Okay. And this a hold, which is together, means to hold something as an imperative. For example, I say, finish your work by tomorrow. So imperative means I'm giving you a command, right? I'm telling you to do something. It's an obligation. So a hold is take it like that, hold it as a command informally. Okay.
Okay.
Did you understand?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Sure. Jigyasa, what do you mean by this? Ramya had fleet of foot, so she didn't attend class today. It feels like a disease here, like she had fever, so she didn't attend.
Lot of pain, ma'am. Fleet of foot.
No, fleet of foot is no. No. Fleet, Jigyasa, means essentially it's a collective noun. Okay. For example, a pride of lions, a fleet of ship, a school of fish, all these words are collective nouns and they mean many of a certain kind. Okay? So fleet is a collective noun for ship, which is SHIP, for ship, and for boats. If you see many boats and many ships, you don't say that there are many ships and many boats. You say it's a fleet of ships and boats, full stop. So fleet comes from there, many, and foot is your actual feet. That means many feet. And if you have many feet, you can run fast, right?
Okay.
So that's what it means. Somebody who can run fast is somebody who has a fleet of foot.
Okay.
Do you understand now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Prerna, do you have a question for me?
No, ma'am.
I start haggling in. Shanti, in your sentence, it's not fair if there's a subject missing. If I, you, he, she, who starts haggling in the court? He's a person with nimble feet. Again, Jigyasa, for nimble, it's an adjective. You don't need an uppercase N there either, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Sharon, I don't understand your sentence. The local vendors on street always need to be haggled from.
Ma'am, I mean that they always I mean, we always have to negotiate from them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you don't, okay, on streets always need to be haggled from, no? The local vendors on the street, they haggle, you're just confusing the subject. The local vendors on the street haggle a lot. Simple. Yeah?
Ma'am, I wanted to say that we haggle from them.
What do you mean by we haggle them?
Like we negotiate.
So we haggle with the local vendors on the street always. If we
Okay,
are
ma'am.
the subject who's doing it, then that needs to come first, right? Vipul, the paperback, see, you don't have to say book. The paperback is declassé as compared to, compared with, but as. It's a poet word. Okay, everyone, any questions with these words that you haven't understood?
Can you brief again, ma'am, because I joined later, if you could.
Oh, what? I didn't understand your question, Mithilesh.
I just joined the class because of technical issue.
Class is over. I'm wrapping up the session now.
Yes.
So
Can you send the links again on chat box?
the link of the video or the link of the session?
It available on LMS.
Yes. So here, but anyway, the link is there again. The link of the today's session is something the admin will send when it's ready. Okay.
Ma'am, nimble feet or fleet. Can you explain once again, please?
Yes. Mahesh, nimble-footed person is somebody who's very quick, very fast at doing what he or she does, very clever, agile. He or she is not lazy in what they are doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Great. I will see all of you on Sunday, I think. Thank you so much, everyone. Also, throughout the week, whatever we have done on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, respectively, if there are any doubts, please try to bring it to the session on Sunday so that I can help all of you there. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Okay, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.